I walked into my shop at 6 in the morning and found a homeowners association notice taped to my front door like I was some kind of criminal. It said I was banned from entering Silver Pines Estates, and if I showed up for a call, they'd treat it as trespassing. One bad tow had just turned into a threat that could choke off half my business. My name's Ethan Cole, and I run a small towing outfit in Maple Falls, Colorado. Nothing fancy. One rollback, one service truck, and a phone that doesn't stop ringing when winter rolls in. Around here, if you're the guy who answers at 2 a.m., people remember your number. Silver Pines Estates is the kind of neighborhood that looks like a brochure. Same fences, same mailboxes, lawns trimmed to military standards, even the holiday lights feel pre-approved. And the person who policed all that was the HOA president, Deborah Whitman. If you've ever dealt with a Karen in the wild, you already know her energy. She didn't talk, she issued decisions. She didn't ask, she informed you what you were going to do and how grateful you should be to do it. The call came in before sunrise, the kind that yanks you out of bed before your brain is fully online. Deborah's voice was clipped and annoyed, like the weather had personally offended her. "I need you at Silver Pines, now, and I have an HOA meeting at 10, so don't waste my time." I asked the basics: location, vehicle type, road conditions. I could hear her sigh through the phone. I told her my winter recovery rate straight up $250 because the street they were on iced over like a skating rink every season. There was a pause, then a sharp forced fine. "Hurry." 20 minutes later, I'm pulling into Silver Pines headlights, catching that perfect little circle of disaster at the curb. Her SUV, some shiny, oversized thing, had slid off the edge and nosed into a ditch. One wheel spinning uselessly, the back end angled like it wanted to tip if I breathed on it wrong. Deborah stood on the sidewalk in a puffer coat that probably cost more than my tire's arms folded tight. She didn't say hello. She just pointed like she was directing traffic. "Get it out. And don't scratch it." "Ma'am," I said, keeping my voice even, "I'm going to do a slow pull. It's icy. I'll take photos first. Just standard procedure." She rolled her eyes like I'd insulted her. "Whatever. Just do it." I did what I always do. Chocks, winch line, soft strap, careful angle, steady tension. The whole time I'm watching the ground, watching the cable, watching the way the SUV shifts as it comes free. It took maybe 10 minutes. Smooth, clean, no drama. And the second her wheels hit solid pavement, she walked around the SUV like an inspector. Then she looked at me and said, "I'm paying $150. I blinked. "It's $250. We agreed before I came out." Deborah's face tightened like she'd just tasted something sour. $250 for 10 minutes. "That's ridiculous." "It wasn't 10 minutes, I said, holding my ground, "and the price isn't about the clock. It's the equipment, the risk, the road." She leaned in a little, lowering her voice like she was letting me in on a secret. "I'm the president of the Homeowners Association here. You want to keep doing work in Maple Falls, right?" There it was no misunderstanding, no confusion, just a straight-up power move. She wasn't bargaining, she was warning me. I'll be honest. I was tired cold, and I didn't feel like turning a ditch rescue into a scene in front of a bunch of perfect houses. I took the $150, wrote the receipt, and watched her drive away like nothing happened. I figured that was the end of it. I figured wrong. By that afternoon, my phone started doing this weird thing where it rang. And the second I picked up, the person on the other end sounded hesitant. "Hey, Ethan, my neighbor said you overcharge, like you try to trap people." I laughed at first because it was so absurd. Then I got 3 more calls. Then a regular customer texted me, "What happened at Silver Pines?" People are saying some stuff. My stomach dropped in that slow, ugly way. Because when rumors spread in a small town, they don't spread like smoke. They spread like oil. The next morning was when it got official. That's when I found the notice on my door. Homeowners Association letterhead, crisp and smug, telling me I was banned from providing any services inside Silver Pines Estates due to multiple complaints. It even had the line about trespassing, like I was some threat to the community. I stood there in my own doorway reading it twice, then a third time, and my hands started shaking. Not from the cold, from the pure audacity of it. They weren't just trying to stiff me for $100, they were trying to erase me from a whole neighborhood. And I know how this works. If a tow company gets labeled shady, people don't wait around for the truth. They just stop calling. For the first time in a long time, I sat down at my desk and stared at my numbers. Rent, fuel, insurance, payroll. The kind of math that doesn't care about pride. I remember thinking very plainly, no drama, maybe I should just eat it. Let it go. Avoid the headache. Because picking a fight with an HOA president in a neighborhood full of lawyers and retirees with time on their hands, that's not exactly a hobby. Then I looked at that letter again, and something in me snapped into focus. It wasn't just about me anymore. If Deborah could use the HOA like a personal weapon over a tow bill, she could do it to anyone. A landscaper, a babysitter, a delivery guy. Anybody who didn't bow fast enough. So I got practical. I pulled up the photos I took at the scene time-stamped. I pulled the receipt clear as day showing what she actually paid. And I pulled the call recording from my dispatch app, the one that automatically saves customer calls for quality and liability. I wrote a calm, professional letter to the HOA board. Not emotional, not ranting, just facts. Date, time agreed, price, her refusal, the threat, and the sudden retaliation. Then I sent it certified mail signature required so nobody could pretend they never saw it. That same day, my buddy Mike Harris called me. Mike lived near Silver Pines, not inside it, but close enough to hear everything. Dude, he said, Deborah's been blasting your name in the community group like you tried to rob her. People are nervous, but some of them are also tired of her. Tired how, I asked. Tired like. This isn't her first crusade, Mike said. She goes after anyone who doesn't fold. That's when the twist hit, and I didn't even see it coming. A lawyer named Jason Kim reached out to me through Mike, through someone else, through that same chain of small-town grapevine. He wasn't calling to threaten me, he was calling to ask for details. He told me he represented a handful of homeowners who'd been collecting complaints about Deborah and the board for months. Fines that made no sense. Selective enforcement. Rules that changed depending on who you were. He said, your situation fits a pattern. A pattern. That word mattered. Because one tow bill is a dispute. A pattern is a problem. Jason asked for my documentation. I sent everything. He listened to the recording twice. Then he said, if the board tries to defend this, we're going to make it very uncomfortable for them. A week later, the HOA scheduled a special community meeting. That's what they called it. Like it was a celebration. I walked into the Silver Pines clubhouse with my jacket zipped up and my stomach tight. The room was packed, neighbors in neat sweaters, a couple guys with crossed arms, someone whispering behind a hand. Deborah was up front with a binder and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She started talking like she was giving a presentation. We have standards. We have to protect our community. We cannot allow predatory service providers to operate here. Predatory. That word again. Clean, sharp, designed to stick. Then she looked straight at me and said, he charged an outrageous amount for a simple pull. And when I questioned it, he became aggressive. I could feel the heat rising in my chest because it was such an easy lie to tell when you're standing behind a podium. But I didn't interrupt. I didn't shout. I waited until the moderator, one of the board members, finally said, Mr. Cole, you may respond. I walked up with my laptop and a folder. My voice came out steadier than I expected. I'm not here to argue feelings, I said. I'm here to show what happened. I put the photos on the screen, first her SUV in the ditch, the ice, the setup, the before and after. Then I held up the receipt. We agreed on $250 before I drove out. She refused to pay it after the job. I accepted $150 because I wanted to leave peacefully. Deborah actually scoffed loud like she was performing for the room. That's not what happened. I nodded like, okay. Then I said, here's the call. I hit play. Her voice filled the clubhouse clear as day, saying she needed me fast, confirming the situation, then that loaded little threat about me wanting to keep working in town. The room shifted. You could feel it the way people stop leaning toward the confident liar and start leaning toward the evidence. Deborah's face changed in real time. The smile hardened. Her eyes darted toward the moderator like she expected them to save her. Jason stood up from the back row and spoke like a blade. This meeting is now on record as part of an ongoing complaint regarding retaliation and misuse of HOA authority. And suddenly, Deborah wasn't running the room anymore. People started talking one after another. A homeowner mentioning a random fine, another mentioning a warning letter for something that wasn't even in the bylaws. Someone else asking why the board was using trespassing language against a local business over a payment dispute. Deborah tried to talk over them. Order, order, this is not relevant. But the moderator cut her off. "It is relevant," he said, and his tone was different now, less obedient, more done. A motion came up right there on the spot vote to remove Deborah as president pending review. Hands went up. Fast. More than half the room. Deborah stood so abruptly her chair scraped the floor. She looked around like she couldn't believe the crowd had stopped clapping for her. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, and nothing useful came out. Then she grabbed her binder, shoved past the front row, and stormed out of the clubhouse shoulders, rigid like she could hold her reputation together by force. The last thing I saw was that HOA letterhead on her binder, same smug font, same bold title, suddenly looking a lot less powerful in her hands. And in that moment I didn't feel victorious. I felt relieved because the second her authority slipped, the intimidation vanished with it. Power only works when people are too scared to check the facts.